This interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and our 21-day challenge. And if you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you feel like you've been stuck, spinning your wheels, overwhelmed, exhausted, definitely the 21-day challenge could be the breakthrough that you've been looking for. What we'll do is we'll get clear on your statement of purpose, the vision of your life, why you're here, what you're all about, and how do you break that down into bite-sized steps so that you get a crystal clear, specific 21-day challenge goal that I will support you with one-on-one. You'll have daily progress check-ins, weekly deep dives, and uncovering the limiting beliefs, the self-sabotage that might keep you stuck so that you can be free to achieve your greatest possible selves and your goals for the 21-day challenge. So if that is something that's interesting and you want to take the plunge and achieve your next 21-day challenge goal, dial in your habits, your daily and nighttime routines, all that good stuff, send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, or you can do it through Facebook, facebook.com/th3burns. Looking forward to talking to you and seeing if the program is a great fit. Next is the iTunes review of the week, and it is by Kevin Burciaga. And Kevin says, best new podcast of 2018. This is the best new podcast I found in 2018. There are so many great episodes. Quit filling your mind with polarized politics and bad news and start listening to Chris. Thanks so much, Kevin. And if you want to give us a review, we'd absolutely appreciate it. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self in the iTunes store, podcast store, and give us a rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes. Or you can search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on Facebook and do it there. Thank you in advance for doing that. Now, our next guest is a freaking powerhouse, and she's definitely overcome some big challenges and obstacles in her life, and she's here to share her wisdom and her love with us. So make sure you stay tuned till the end. We're going to be sharing gold and wisdom that she's experienced and picked up in her life, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Great pre-interview chat the other day. So stick around because Khrystle's going to bring the heat. Khrystle is an empowerment coach and life balancing strategist who helps busy working women transform their overworked lives into a blissful work, life, and fitness balance. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. Khrystle, are you ready to rock this house?
Let's go.
Let's do it. We're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thanks so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your light and your love with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is sink or swim. So how has this concept or this mindset of sink or swim, how has it played a role in your life, Khrystle?
Definitely a philosophy that I have been thrown into numerous amounts of times, especially working and having different jobs. And, it's a real testament, I guess. I don't know if that's the perfect word, but it's like, what kind of character do you have? Are you capable of figuring things out and just being comfortable with being uncomfortable? Yeah. And that's one of the key things that I've learned in my life is getting comfortable with the uncomfortableness, because change always happens. So, we should always be able to figure out how to swim. It might not come easily. Right. It might take a little bit of effort, but yeah, like there's definitely been many a times where it's kind of like, here you go. Figure it out.
Yeah. I love that. And it's like, we're resourceful people, anything that's placed in front of us, we can overcome it. We can break through it. We can, find out a solution. And it's all about like the mindset of sink or swim. Like, am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to get uncomfortable? Am I willing to do it even if it takes a long time? And I love that you are embodying that and sharing that that's how you live your life. And we're going to be finding out more about that and more about you. So why don't you share a little bit more? I shared it in your intro about who you are and what you're working on today. But for anyone who's just meeting you or hearing about you from the first time, why don't you share about that, about yourself with our audience?
Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of a different intro since you said the other one. So cool. I am a certified health and fitness coach, and I started my journey definitely over 10 years ago. I've been in therapy. I've dealt with anxiety. I have had many different kinds of jobs, and I play sports. I've competed in a bodybuilding competition. I'm always striving to get to that next level. And I've grown up in a household where you're always pushed to grow. And so, nothing is ever good enough in a sense. And I know that there's a lot of us, especially ambitious women, where we definitely struggle with getting comfortable with the present. And we definitely don't give ourselves enough credit or give ourselves enough grace and say, okay, like this is enough. I'm just going to enjoy this moment. I'm going to enjoy the journey, right? Like we're always looking to get to the end of the journey. And one of the things I do is I really help you to take away that pressure and the extra stress and also find the time, because there is a way. And I say there's a way because I live this right now, right? I work a 9 to 5. I have my own coaching business where I have my own podcast, my own YouTube channel. I do all my own Instagram, all my own, everything that you see from me in my business is coming from me. I don't have an assistant. I answer all my emails. Like it's all me. And on top of it, I model, which I started modeling a year ago. So, and I have health issues. So I cook all my meals. I still work out. So I understand when people are like, oh, but I can't make the change. But my point is, if it's important to you, you're going to find the time, because all of these things are important to me. So I find the time. And taking away the pressure or the stress or re-looking at what consistency looks like or what consistency means really just changes it. And so a lot of this is all mindset. It's all our perception. So it's like a really long-winded, like, what else do I do? But
I love it. I love it. That was so perfect. So perfect. Because I really appreciate how unstoppable you are in spite of the challenges that you've gone through and are currently going through, and just like how you show up. It's really, really inspiring. And I know that a lot of people are going to get value out of this just because you're a freaking firecracker. You got so much energy and you're just up to big things in life. So I really appreciate that. So let's go back into the journey, Khrystle, about whenever you want to start, in terms of what was those defining moments that helped shape who you are today and the woman that's in front of us today.
There are many. We'll go way back when. Okay. We'll go real way back, because I know this is a topic that I feel like I like to give voice to it, because I know I'm not the only one who struggles with it. So when I was 1, my parents got divorced. I don't have a relationship with my father, and having that really played a role in my self-worth and my self-love and my lack of holding myself highly, because I felt like I was unworthy to one of my parents. So that has been a huge journey in my life, of years of therapy, of dealing with anger, of getting through all this stuff and dealing with emotions. And so, just for anybody out there who is struggling with a relationship like this, I'm here to tell you maybe something different than what other people are telling you. It is okay not to have a relationship with somebody who is emotionally toxic to you. So my door isn't closed to my father. If he was to call me tomorrow, yes, I would pick up the phone and I would talk to him, but I don't seek him out, because it hurts me more being in touch with him than it does loving him from a distance. And so I am totally a fan of loving people from a distance, of I love you, I honor you, thank you, but I can't be close to you because it hurts me, right? And at the end of the day, our happiness is what matters, because we have to live our life, right? Like no one else is living my life.
Nope.
So that was something that definitely really depicted how my life has been shaped, and the different therapies that I've gone to, and the different things that I've done to heal that anger and to mend that relationship, because it's a relationship that I can't have a conversation with my dad. And be like, hey, Dad, so we're going to have an adult conversation and we're going to talk about all the emotional pain and hurt, and we're going to bring up all this baggage. He's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? No, we're not. Like, and we all have relationships like that. So it's learning how to heal something that you can't actually confront face to face. And and like that healing is for you. Because no matter how angry I feel, he's not feeling my anger from a distance. I'm feeling my anger. So it's all for me in a sense. And it's really for your happiness. So I want to talk about that for people, because that was a really big life struggle that I have gone through. And it really did play a role and shape my life in a certain type of way. So that's one struggle. Another one is when I was 17, I started really getting stomach issues and things of that nature. And in 2012, my anxiety hit its worst point. I weighed about 105 pounds. I was 5'5". I was eating maybe 5 different types of foods. I had a fear of eating, fear of going to restaurants. My fears were so crazy. I was having panic attacks. I was in a relationship that wasn't good or healthy. And that, I think, was the most rock bottom I had ever hit of all time. So I switched. I was with one therapist. I switched to a new therapist. I saw both of them at the same time for a couple of weeks. Like, all the blessings and thank yous and praises to my mother for spending the money on all the therapy that she sent me. Like, thank you so much, Mom. I don't even think you guys understand. So that was another really big turning point of what is going on. And then I'm going to bring you to recently right now, this January. So I had gotten tested 2 years ago in 2016, and I found out that I have an MTHFR gene mutation. And I stopped seeing that doctor before he told me what the hell it meant. And I finally was like, oh, that might be the missing puzzle piece as to why I'm anxious and what's going on with my body and why I feel stressed in a certain type of way. And I am an emotional person, maybe a little bit highly sensitive, as I like to call it. And so I figured out that I needed to go find another functional medicine doctor this year, because in December, I had gotten to the point where I could eat salads again. And a salad hurt my stomach where I wanted to cry. And I hadn't experienced that for over a year. I experienced it when I first stopped bodybuilding, right after my first competition. And I started working with another functional medicine doctor, and come to find out, there's things in my body that aren't balanced. But the beauty in it is that supplements and food totally can change that sphere. So those are 3 different things that are pretty major that have shaped my, what I do and why I do it, and how I am, and what I believe.
Super powerful. Oh my gosh. I love it. We're going to go so deep. There's so much juiciness in this. Let's dive into the relationships, since that was the first thing you brought up. Like, what does it take to really heal ourselves through these relationships? What are some processes that either you went through or you would recommend that we can do on our own or with therapy or whatever else? I know you've mentioned that a couple of times. So, anything that you recommend, or if you just want to share more specifics about how you overcame it.
Definitely we can go with a recommendation. So I do recommend therapy. I'm a psychology major. I have a degree in psychology, and I'm a firm believer of therapy has its place. So I don't think we should be in therapy for our entire life. I feel like we're in therapy for an amount of time to heal what happened in the past, because therapy, it's a lot in the past. And I kind of feel like we get to a place where it's like, all right, I've been in the past so much. Let me just get in the present and move on. Like, let me let go of my story. So I do believe in therapy. I do believe that talking with somebody who is unbiased is extremely helpful. I've seen a couple of different therapists, and all of them serve their place. And then I felt like I didn't need it anymore, right? So if you're struggling with getting over something in the past, therapy is absolutely amazing. I even did EMDR, which is when it pulses in your palms, which helps with changing the neurological pathways in your brain. So it's like helping change the memories. So there's different types of therapies that are out there. That's just one style. And that one, you need somebody who's really good at what they're doing, because I pushed myself too far and ended up sick, which, so a lot of the times, anything that we're feeling physically ill is emotional first. So if you're getting a physical illness, it's kind of, well, not always, I'm being extreme, because you can catch a virus, you can catch a cold, you can have a parasite, like things can happen. But a lot of times, our physical ailments are manifestations of emotions. So therapy is great. You definitely want to find the right therapist, shop around for them. But so this is a trick. I was talking about this with a client yesterday, actually. And this is one of my favorite tricks. And you guys may think I'm crazy for this one, but I promise you it's a totally different level. So if you have a conflict with a person that you cannot have a conversation with them because they won't hear you, whatever the case might be, but you have things inside of you that your thoughts are going and going and going, and you're like, I need to get this out of me. Like, I can't keep rehabbing these conversations in my mind. Take a piece of toilet paper or a roll, take a pen, write a letter to them on toilet paper. Specifically on toilet paper. Or another trick is to use like a paper towel and rip it in half, but you'll get my point in a minute. So toilet paper, if you get a durable kind, it won't break, whatever. Say everything to them that you want to say to them. Get it off your chest. Curse at them, like whatever you need to do, get it all out. And then the next time you have to use the facilities, you're going to use that toilet paper. Specifically, if you have to juice. Literally taking that phrase, right? You're literally doing that. So you're gonna write the letter to them, and then you're gonna wipe your ass with it. And so there's a different energy when it comes to flushing it down the toilet than just ripping it up on a piece of paper, right? Yeah. Some people believe that if you rip it up with a piece of paper, it's still here, whereas if you're flushing it down the toilet, it's gone. So that And sometimes you have to do that multiple times. Like, so one of the things to understand with this is that this isn't a one-time type of deal. The emotions will come up, you'll process it then, they'll go away. And then at a later date, you might get triggered and it might come up again. So don't beat yourself up because it's still there. It's more like there's just still more healing to get done. And you just have to do it again at a later date.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I love this because it's like, you were talking about how we can reprogram our mind in the stories, right? With the EMDR and really just having those different modalities to change our story. And this is a whole nother way. It's like, hey, I'm taking these thoughts, I'm like letting them go. I don't hold on to them anymore. I put them on the paper. I get pissed, I get frustrated, whatever it might be. And then there's like the action of connecting in our mind of that story with the action of, wiping our butt, throwing it in the toilet, flushing it down, and watching it go down. It's like that changes how we relate to the story. It's so powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. I love it. So that's a cool technique to really free ourselves. I've also heard of burning the paper, right? You can write something and then burn it, and that's pretty vaporized as well. I think one of the things that's powerful about it is when you use the elements. So it's like water or, flushing it down the toilet or fire, different stuff like that. Super cool. Anything else you'd recommend to be able to empower ourselves, get over our old limiting beliefs, stories, or to heal ourselves in that aspect?
So tell yourself a new story. So one of the things that happens with relationships is that we want somebody to say things to us, right? We're yearning for them to apologize, for them to comfort us. Comfort yourself.
Yeah.
And so just think of it, like think of yourself as a inner child or as a child, whatever the case might be. Imagine yourself as a child and say the things that you would say to a child to yourself and comfort yourself and heal yourself, because there are going to be people who will never say, I'm sorry. There will be people who will they just, whatever it is, they just cannot bring themselves to do that. So you have to say it to yourself on behalf of them. Because like I said, at the end of the day, this is all about you. It's your perception. It's your beliefs. It's your thoughts. So healing all comes from you. It's not external. And so you really have the power to heal yourself. And this is just a different thing, but still similar. But I do want to mention it because I love this too. Cut the energy. So use sage, clear your energy, and also cut it. So there's different techniques that you can, like me personally, I just use my hands, and I just use my hand in front of my stomach and in my back, and I imagine cutting off the energy ties with anybody who's been negative, and I'll use the sage to purify my space. Do that. It's real. Like it helps.
Yes. That's so powerful. I love it because like we're energetically connected, and we have like these relationships that build energetic cords between us. So it's like to cut that and that frees us. Like just the act of going through it's crazy. Like these things that we might think are silly, going through the actions, going through the motions, going through the gestures of flushing the toilet paper down the toilet or cutting things, like pretending like you're cutting it or actually cutting it. How that can really change our subconscious mind and our relationship with things. Super powerful. So that was about your relationship with your dad that really helped you. You went through therapy, all that kind of stuff. And then what was the next phase of life that you really had to break through? Was that the fear of food, right?
Yeah. So that was the anxiety. So that was the fear of everything. Like being immobilized, and having panic attacks all the time and not eating. So when it comes to having a fear of food, one of the things that I did first was I went to a gastro doctor. He was like, you're fine. You're not lactose intolerant. You're not all these things, whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. It's all in my mind. So I started experimenting, and I would pick one new food every 3 days, and I would see how the foods would make me feel. And then I would learn that the foods didn't make me feel any type of way. And I'd be like, okay, fine. It was all in my mind. It wasn't all in my mind, but it was all in my mind. Fine. And so then I just started eating whatever I wanted to eat. And one of my techniques is something that I use all the time. And I say it enough that now people are probably going to recognize when I'm in an anxious state, but I basically take my right hand and my left hand, and I put the back of my left palm the back of my left hand into my right palm, and then I connect my thumbs. And so this gesture in itself helps slow your heart rate down.
Really?
And then there's a saying that you say, and you say it 9 times. I'm gonna butcher it in every type of way, so I'm not gonna say it. But this is my go-to, and so I still use this to this day, because a lot of times with my anxiety, my heart starts racing first, and then it gets hard to swallow, and I start gulping, and then I get scared that I'm gonna throw up, and I hate throwing up. So if I can put my hands here and slow my heart rate down first, everything else won't trickle or spiral out, right? My other trick is lavender oil. I carry lavender oil on me all the time. So that was really big. But you know, the anxiety piece. So one day in college, I decided in my apartment that I was gonna put all these affirmations up. And so I took Louise Hay's book and I took all these different affirmations from her. I printed them out. I made them so pretty. I put them on all these papers, beautiful scissors, whatever. I hung them up all around my room. I would walk in my room and immediately have a panic attack because it was too much coming at me.
Oh my gosh.
Like I couldn't handle all of that.
Wow.
So I had to take them all down. Like the day after, I was like, I can't do this. Oh my goodness, I'm freaking out. So literally the next day took them all down. So it's recognizing where we are and honoring it and taking our time with it, because it ends up being a process. And I couldn't make plans. Like people would be like, hey, do you want to hang out in 2 weeks? And I'd be like, I'll let you know that day. Like, no, I don't. If I change my mind, I'll let you know. So I said no to people for a really long time, and I just lived in the moment because committing freaked me out. Like everything was freaking me out. And you know, now being in the place where I am now, the quicker we can get to the feel good thoughts, the quicker we can move out of the fear, the less it's going to have a hold on us.
Wow.
And just laughing, like literally, I was taking life too seriously. Like literally, I was just taking it seriously. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't in a good relationship. I wasn't saying good thoughts to myself. I had avoided my feelings for like 4 years. You know, and everything was hitting me at once. And so the other thing I did was I journaled. I have journals everywhere. But literally, I think journaling saved my not my life, but like it saved my mind and my emotional well-being, because that release of me just talking to me, there's nothing like it. And it was allowing the emotions to come up. And you know, the other thing that I really learned is that emotions are just emotions. They're just feelings. And if we just acknowledge them as a feeling, don't give them more power. We're just like, oh dang, I'm really feeling that type of way right now. And feel it, like actually feel it, but then let it go. It's a totally different world. It's a totally different ball game. And also being able to say to people close to us, like yesterday, for whatever reason, my emotions are on another level right now. Like emotionally sensitive in a way I can't even tell you. Like Monday was rough. And I had to come home and be like to my boyfriend and say, babe, I'm emotional today. I don't know why, but I'm sensitive. And it's also just giving somebody else a heads up and saying it out loud so that you don't react. You know, it's honoring just how you feel and being like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on and I'm sorry. And then also it gives you permission to be a little bit more quiet, because nobody else is going to be like, oh, thinking anything. It's just like, oh no, she's going through something. That's, you know,
space. Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
That was a lot, but
no, it's great. I appreciate all of it. I think the big part there was like communicating how we're doing, and that could start with communicating with ourselves, with journaling, and getting into that trusting practice of, hey, what do I feel? And just like journaling about it and expressing ourselves. That's huge. I love how you mentioned about the affirmations, how you had like this big aspiration to be like, boom, I want positivity everywhere. And then you walk in your room, you're like, it's like I'm being attacked.
Yeah, no, that was rough. That was like, I couldn't handle that. They came down immediately. I had a panic attack because of them. Like a panic attack on my futon, shaking uncontrollably, chattering, freezing cold, like couldn't move for 10 minutes. Wow. Totally sparked me.
Oh my gosh, that's so incredible. But it's cool that you recognize it and you like deal with it, and now you have that wisdom to give to other people, and you can share that in a way that has someone who's going through something similar, or maybe a little bit worse, or maybe a little bit less, doesn't matter, but you can give them hope that, oh my gosh, like Krystle's going through this stuff, like what I'm going through is kind of similar, or it's way less, or, like, well, it's not as bad as mine, but, hey, at least it's something to stand on, that there's other people who are going through things in life, which I think is super, super powerful. So after that, you moved into, like, how did you get into coaching? Like, where did the transformational coaching, empowerment coaching, life balance, balancing strategist, like, how did that all come together?
It's a great question. So I was promoted in my corporate job a year after being in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, I've always known that I don't want to work in corporate America. Actually, I never wanted to work in corporate America, and I never envisioned myself being in it. I worked at Apple in retail after college.
Wow.
And then I decided, okay, I think I need a real job. So my mom's moving to Ohio. Let me get a real job. So I got one. And a year in, I got promoted to a different position. And 4 months into that, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I need another plan. And so I had already been interested in coaching people because I know what it feels like to feel healthy. And what I truly want for everybody is to have them understand and get to this place of feeling healthy. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, and we don't have to suffer. Life isn't about suffering. And I really want to be one of those people who's helping other people get to this place of feeling good and not feeling stressed out, and understanding that, like, you can work through things. So I decided to go to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So I did that while still at my day job, and I got my health coaching certification. And then I was doing a bodybuilding competition at the same time. So I was working a 9 to 5. I was in the gym 6 days a week, and I was studying for my health coaching certification for at least 3 or 4 months. All of those things happened at once. And anybody who does a bodybuilding competition knows that your brain stops functioning in the way that it's supposed to because it's not getting the proper nutrients. So your foggy brains, you're tired, you can't think straight. Like, I would leave my apartment and have to double check my door 4 times because I couldn't remember if I locked it, and I just locked it. Like, I would lock my door, and then I would turn around and I'd be like, oh dang, did I lock it? And could not remember. So that was my biggest teaching lesson or like opportunity, because I really had to figure out how to juggle, one, feeling crazy, tired, drinking 2 gallons of water a day for a week, a gallon of water a day for 16 weeks. I was prepping for a year, and I was still kind of new in my role at my day job. And that in itself, I had way more responsibility. I was now negotiating deals. I was negotiating thousands of dollars worth of inventory, right? Like, I was in a new role. I was a middleman. And so that really kind of was like, okay, how do I do this all? How do I do this all and not lose my cool? And I can tell you, I still made it to the gym 6 days a week. I didn't skip the gym. I would go to work. Some days we would have work events afterwards at like 6 o'clock. I would go to the dinners. I would take a train to Jersey City, and I would go to the gym at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then I would get picked up and go home. And I would go to bed at like 10 or 11 and then get up and do the next day. I would meal prep all of my food, and I would have all my meals scheduled for the entire week. And I was eating 120 grams of protein a day. So everything was set up and done. So now I sit back here and I'm in a different position now, but it's just kind of like, I look around at my day job and I see all these people struggling with stress, making their health a priority, managing their time, and just feeling like they don't have the time. And I kind of sit back and I'm like, there's really no excuse. Like, you can find the time, you're just not making the time because it's not important enough to you. And one of the things that makes me so sad is that, and this is something that I've done, so I'm guilty of it, but we wait until we feel absolutely awful to then make a change. Like, we wait until it's too late. And so we wait until we're sick and a doctor's telling us that we now have diabetes to now change our diet. We wait until we're in such pain from our knees. Like, whatever it is, like, we get to the point. It's like we could have avoided that point if we just did something sooner. And so I hope that people start recognizing, well, hey, I'm not walking as much. I'm feeling a little bit lethargic. My brain, it's kind of foggy. I have this weird taste in my mouth. Oh, my stomach hurts every time I eat. And they start paying attention to the little signs that their body is already giving them and start making the changes now, rather than wait until now you have an actual disease that a doctor's labeling you and giving you drugs for that are creating other symptoms that, like it's all a scheme, not a scheme, but you get down the rabbit hole and you're like, well, I have this drug for that, and that gave me this symptom, so they gave me this drug for this symptom,
So ridiculous.
and then you have so many drugs. Like,
yeah, it's
so
just not even a way to live, It's like it's not there's empowering ways to handle what is happening for us, but people value their body and their mobility and their like health so little that like they don't even care. And it, like you said, until it's too late. And then when it's too late, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do now? You can just manage the symptoms and manage the dis-ease that you've created from this constant compounding actions and behaviors over time.
Yeah, and it's taking it for granted, right? Like without our health, we're nothing.
Yeah.
And the other thing about all of this is that I truly believe that people don't know what it feels like to feel good, because you get accustomed to feeling bad, so that becomes your new norm, and you don't remember what it actually feels like to feel good, because you might not have felt good in 10 years.
Wow.
You're like, oh, I always get a headache. Oh, that's normal to me. And it's like, wait, this isn't normal. Like, this is not a normal thing for you to have heartburn after every meal. It's not a normal thing for you to have a crash at 3 p.m. It's not normal for your ankles to get swollen, or for you to have headaches all the time, or whatever. That's not normal, So that's definitely where the passion and all of that comes from, because it's like I said, I know what it feels like to feel good, and there's nothing like feeling good, and the amount of energy that you have, and what you can do with your life, how you can show up for people in your life, how you could show up at your day job, how the universe gives you, you manifest things more quickly because you're in that alignment. You just feel so good. You're doing everything in line with what your body needs.
Yeah, 100%. So that's like, you got this passion about studying yourself and how your own life worked. And then like, when did it start translating to empowering others and working with others? Like what brought out that shift of like, I'm going to start a business around this, and specifically about the empowerment coaching and like a life balancing strategist? Why those words? Why did you say like, I'm going to own this corner of the street, so to speak?
Yeah. So I feel like when I work with people, what I'm actually helping them get to is feeling empowered, because I'm your guide, right? I'm helping. So to answer your question, when did it switch? I mean, it switched years ago. I needed the certification to now be able to call myself a coach and actually help people. So I needed that. And it took me a little bit of time to get the money to figure out the school and get that and have that be sparked in me. But it's funny, like I looked at IAN in 2008. And I went to it in 2016. So it was already in my head 8 years before I went to it. There was like a delay. I had to circle back.
Yep.
But I'm just the guide. And so I have always wanted to, I've looked at my span of my entire journey, and I've been doing this for a long time, experimenting with myself. I've seen countless functional medicine doctors, therapists. I've tried all the supplements. I've gone to chiropractors. Like I live in the holistic world. I grew up in it. I've been going to a chiropractor since I was 9. I started therapy at 8. Like this is my world. So that's 20 years. Okay. I'm 28. Like I've been doing this for a while, and I saw an acupuncturist when I was like 8 years old. Like this has been happening. So I've seen how long it has taken me to go through so many different doctors and try to figure things out. And I just want to help people get to feeling good so much more quickly than it took me.
Yeah.
That's really what the coaching comes from. It's, I want to get you there in way less time than it took for me to get there. And since I've experienced so many things, it's how can I direct you in different places? So I'm just your guide, right? I'm holding your hand. I'm holding you accountable. I'm giving you suggestions. I'm pointing things out and figuring out tweaks that we can make, but you're doing the work. And what I've come to learn is that when I work with people, I'm really helping them become aware of their own body. And that's really what I want to teach them. And so to me, that's empowering them, because now they're learning how to listen to the subtleness, how to figure out if they like the food or if they don't like the food, how to figure out when they need sleep, when they need to push themselves, right? Because like those are things that I can't really tell you, right? I don't believe in a full diet. I believe in we eat for our own body type.
Right.
I can't tell you if your body needs 10 hours of sleep or if you need 6, but I'm going to say 7 or 8 is ideal. Let's experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to figure out what is ideal for you. So I came up with Empowerment Coach because that's the end result that you're getting from me. You're going to be feeling empowered about you. And now, whether you're still working with me or not, I've given you the tools that now you could sort through things and you could just keep on the journey without me, because I've taught you how to listen to your body, how to tune in, how to tweak things, what to look out for, and things of that nature. And then the life balancing part about it is that I like the stress piece of it, right? Because I have an anxiety story, but anxiety isn't the right word. It's not the right word for the marketplace. So I like the stress aspect of it because we all feel stress. Right. And stress, I did a workshop the other day at NBC Universal, and I did my Stress Less, Live More workshop. And my favorite thing is like, stress is not tangible. You can't hand it to me. You can't physically hand me. I can't be like, here's my stress, take it on, right? Like it's not tangible like that. But what it does to the body is so detrimental. Yeah. And so the thing about stress for me is it's a lot of mindset. It's a lot of our perceptions. It's a lot of our beliefs, but it's also physical. It's also the foods, and it's also not moving, because the more we sit down, the more tension is being built on our body. Certain foods are enhancing it, etc. Not having enough micronutrients, having our body that's deficient in nutrients, that's going to aid to a stressful environment, etc. So it's helping people understand that we don't have to live with the stress, right? We can get everything done, or we can tweak it and give ourselves a little bit more grace and allow ourselves more time to get things done. But there's a way for you to do it all without actually feeling that extra stress. So I like to help people figure out how to tweak their schedules so they don't have that pressure, because the pressure doesn't change anything. The pressure is a bunch of hoopla. It's like, it's wasted energy.
Yeah. So like one of the things that we want to talk about is like internal versus external stress. What's the difference of those, and how do we know which one is which, and how do we know, are we in control of both of those? How do we handle those?
Yes. So internal stress is going to be everything that's inside of us. Our thoughts, our feelings, what we're eating, how we're exercising, how we're sleeping, our illness, our moods, our imagination, everything that we're controlling, right? Us. That's all internal. External is going to be everything that we can't control. Accidents, work, relationships, other people's opinions, toxins, the environment, pollution, everything that's literally outside of us. We do not have control over those things. And so one of the things, so I know we were going to talk about this today, if you're capable of maintaining everything internally, that makes you rooted, it makes you grounded, and it keeps your stress at a minimum. And if your internal stress is at a minimum, then anything external isn't really going to bother you, right? So if somebody, so let's think about it this way. The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. He explains how all of us are walking around with wounds on our skin because we all have baggage. And so if we didn't have this nice, beautiful skin, let's say we all had these gigantic wounds, that's how we walk around with. And people say things to us and it's like they're poking in our wounds and they're triggering us. And so on an emotional level, if you haven't dealt with your wounds, they're wide open. So when your internal stress level is not at a minimum, when you're not feeling good inside, so you're eating foods that are making your body go all over the place and scattered, right? Your body's like, oh my goodness, there's so many chemicals, I don't know how to process it. Your liver's overloaded, your thyroid's having an issue, your gut isn't, whatever, right? That's all crazy inside. Then emotionally you're kind of off because your body's like, whoa, you're not sleeping enough, you're not exercising enough, so you just don't feel good, you're not at peace. Right. So now somebody externally comes at you, somebody cuts you off while you're driving, somebody says words to you that poke at that wound, you're going to react 10 times faster because inside you're already so mucked up that you can't even handle what's being thrown at you.
Right.
So when you're able to get to a place where inside everything is cool, right? Like you're eating the foods, they feel good. Your body feels good. It's healthy. Everything's working in a better place. You're not having chemical overload. Your thoughts are great. You're getting enough sleep. You're exercising. You're not sick. All those things. When somebody cuts you off, you're able to come from a loving place and be like, you must be in a really big rush. I hope you get there safely. Right? Because you're not as irritated.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. So the internal stress we're able to manage, and when we effectively manage it, then we create peace and we create more of a like groundedness, a resourcefulness, a adaptable, flexible. I would say, like if something comes and it tries to knock us off balance, we're flexible and we just like flow with the wind kind of thing. Versus if we are off base and we're stressed out internally, and maybe there's even external things that have contributed to that. If another thing comes along, whether it's internal or external, then it will has the potential to push us over the edge, because we're already at that ungrounded kind of vulnerable place of there's chaos going on, and we're trying to deal with the chaos, trying to grab at all these straws and stuff, and then another thing comes and it's like, how am I supposed to like manage this difficulty? There's already so many things that I'm juggling right now. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
Explanation.
Love it. You said it better though. Trust me. It was fun listening to you. So that's cool. So walking around with those wounds, we get to make sure that we clean those up, right? Like that's a huge part of it, is like there's these aspects of ourselves internally that we're getting stressed out with. We have these negative thought patterns, we have negative behaviors, and then external will be we're hanging around toxic people, right? Like that's a possibility and potential for a lot of people, is like there these wounds in our life that we're creating or have been created. And so how do we start like really becoming aware of those wounds and healing them and repairing them as quickly as possible?
So the best thing to do is become aware of your thoughts. Like that's number one. And so when I was in therapy way back when, one of the things my therapist had said to me was that so like let's say we have a cycle and we have a routine, right? And so something happens and we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Let's say there's 7 steps. We become aware. So something happens and we start really paying attention to what we're hearing in our mind. And we become aware of our behaviors and our reactions and how we're treating people. Like we become super aware. And what'll happen is you'll start to notice that you have these cycles or these habits. And let's say if it's 7 steps. So the first time you might become aware, but you don't recognize that you're doing the same pattern until you get to step 6. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm in step 6. Okay, so once you recognize you're in a step, you have a chance to just take one step out and do something different. And once you do one thing different, you break the cycle. So what ends up happening is that this is a practice. You have to practice this and really become aware of it. And so I'll talk about techniques of how to become aware of your thoughts and get present in a moment. But when you're in these patterns, you start to notice, okay, I typically do this, then this, then this, then this. The quicker you start to recognize what step you're in, the quicker you can break the pattern, you can just step out of it. Yeah. So it's going to take time to break a pattern or break a habit, but the more you become aware of it and the more you step out of it, then you start not being in it, right? It's gone. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm being triggered. Okay, I have 2 options. I can either do my pattern and continue on that cycle, or I could just do something different right now. What do I want to do? Sometimes you might want to go down the pattern because for whatever reason, you're just in an emotional state where you want to. And so honor that, right? Yeah. Like go through it and fine, then be like, okay, well, next time I'm not going to do that. But, or you can go down into step 3 or 4 and then be like, all right, this was fun, but it's not that much fun. I don't want to do this. Right. So it all just depends on where you are. But essentially, you always have that choice of, okay, do I want to react right now or do I want to respond? And the best thing to do is to figure out your triggers. Yeah. What are your sore points? What are your wounds? What are the things that bother you and that hit home and that cause you to react? Then once you know your triggers, you start spotting them. And you recognize it when you have the bad interactions with people. And then you're like, oh, I didn't handle that well. What happened there? And question things. And also it's like a poke. So people will say things to you and it's kind of a sting. And you're like, ooh, wait, that hurt. And then you're like, okay, well, why did it hurt? So always taking that moment to pause and reflect inwards and think, what about that triggered me? Because at the end of the day, so this is another thing that I do believe, and it was a very hard pill for me to swallow, but I do believe it's the truth, and that is that nobody is more powerful. Nobody is powerful enough to impact how you feel. Ever. I'm not powerful enough to change how you feel. If you're deciding to feel a certain type of way, it's because you're accepting it. You're choosing that feeling. So if somebody is coming at me and saying something towards me in a negative way, and I get angry or I get sad, it's because there's something in me that is wanting to be angry or sad, and it's an issue with me. So essentially, we're all mirrors. And trust me, I really fought this. I really was like, no, this is BS. Screw this. That's not the case. Da-da-da-da. But it takes us out of the victim mode, because now we're no longer victims. We're always responsible for ourselves, because we're always responsible for how we feel. So we get to decide, okay, like, so I've gotten to a place where I've gotten better at this, and I'll see somebody, I'm like, oh, you got something going on. This is a lot of shade you're throwing at me. I don't understand where this negativity is coming from, but it's not mine. I'm not going to accept it. I am not. You can keep it. I'll see you later. And I will stay happy. And for the longest, I had a really hard time allowing myself to feel happy when other people feel sad, because I felt that I should feel sad with them, or I shouldn't be happy while they feel a certain type of way. So that in itself is a huge life lesson that if anybody, like if you were to learn one life lesson, that is the best and biggest lesson ever, because you stop giving away your power. And nobody can change how you feel anymore, and you truly decide how you feel. So that is a really, really big thing. So back to this other idea of how do we become aware. So we want to get into the present moment, and we want to be mindful. My favorite techniques are feeling my feet. What do I mean by that? I mean sitting down or standing up and imagining how my feet feel on the floor and recognizing that they're safe. Also, another one is when you're walking, paying attention to what the environment feels like underneath your feet. Oh my goodness, the carpet feels so squishy. Wow, that concrete is really hard. The pavement, it's so smooth, like whatever. Oh, the grass, it's whatever, right? So when you're recognizing those types of environments underneath your feet, that's making you present and it's making you aware. So it's actually going to distract you from your thought, but sometimes it's good to get distracted from your thoughts so then you can recognize the thought, because you can't, if you're not used to hearing what's in your mind and you're just automatically connecting with your mind, you're not going to be able to differentiate it. So that technique of feeling your feet, whatever. The other one is, this is like my other go-to, is looking to see colors. So it's like that red, the red behind you. That's a really red. Oh, it's changing. It's going from a lighter red to a darker red, right? Like that's me being fully in the present moment, because I'm recognizing a color that's sitting right in front of me and I'm here paying attention to that. So the more we can get present, the more the mind stops and the chatter stops.
Wow, so that's powerful. I love it. I love it. And I also heard in there, you're talking about like consciousness in terms of like the observer, being the observer rather than being the at effect with the thoughts, right? You can either be the thoughts and let the thoughts own you, or you can notice the thoughts and like choose, hey, what thoughts am I going to think? What thoughts am I going to own? And when you are in touch with the environment and you're paying attention to colors, you're paying attention to textures, characteristics, feelings, sensations, all that, then it gets you out of the automatic brain patterns and like kind of hamster wheel of thinking, so to speak, the machinery that constantly generates thoughts, and into like, hey, so I'm present now. What do I hear? What do I hear? What do I notice? What am I paying attention to? That's like automatic. I was just like so present. I was just touching the grass. I was just noticing the coolness of the grass on my feet. And as soon as I stopped doing that, I felt this like rush, or I hear this rush of conversation and thoughts like try to, break down the door in my mind and try to take over again. It's like, to be able to get to that level of awareness is super important for people, so they can stop being the victim and stop being in reaction mode and rather be in creation mode and be responsible, that they can think what they want, they can do what they want, and they can be what they want.
Yes.
That's powerful.
I love it.
Me too, Khrystle. This is awesome. So we're beginning to come to the end here, and I just want to know, is there anything that you wanted to cover in terms of the internal versus external stressors? Really being the creators of our reality, noticing things, feeling things, being in control of ourselves, our thoughts, our habits, our patterns, our triggers. Anything else? We covered a lot of different stuff in this. Anything else you really want to just drive home, or that we didn't cover yet?
we did cover a lot of stuff.
You are brilliant, Khrystle. Just saying.
You have really good questions. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, one of the things I do want to drive home for people is that this is a daily practice. Yeah. This is all the time working on yourself, growing, accepting how you're feeling, and understanding that every day you're going to feel different. And this is what I was saying before about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Your body is changing all the time. Your emotions are changing all the time. We have new moons, we have full moons, right? Like energy on the planet is changing all the time. There's a lot of change. And so just being able to step back a little and understand that you're on the perfect journey and everything is always unfolding for you in the right way, and release the pressure. And, you're always going to encounter something that you can handle, because why wouldn't you be able to handle it, right? Like trusting in the universe that you're capable, because you are capable. You're powerful enough. You're strong enough. You have the willpower. Like you can do this. And also just understanding that it might not look like any health journey. It's not straight up. Like we don't decide tomorrow and then we just feel good all the time. I have days. I was sick last week with a fever of 100.7, right?
Wow.
Like it's like you do go up and down and things happen and our body changes. And so allowing yourself and just loving yourself in every single moment of the journey and just enjoying it. Like I know it gets really fearful. Every day I'm uncomfortable. Every day I am vulnerable. Every day I am nervous. But loving that, like just being able to accept it and love it and enjoy it. Like I know it doesn't sound like it's enjoyable, but enjoy the fear, enjoy the sadness, enjoy the anger and the other things. So this is a different topic, but I do want to bring this up because it reminds me of anger. And I'm somebody who has dealt with a very deep-seated anger. And super quick though, you can feel two emotions at once. So I was walking the other day in New York City off the bus, and I was feeling full-blown rage. Like, ooh, the anger was there. And I was happy as can be. And I was like, how the hell do I feel so angry and so happy at the same time? And I was happy because I was feeling grateful and I felt so blessed and appreciative for the life that I had. But I had this anger just running through my body. And may I tell you, it felt so good to feel the pure rage of the anger and the heat of it. And there's a way to use that to help you creatively, and a way to use it as empowering and not have it stop you. And so don't shy away from feeling two emotions at once. Like it's possible. And having an overall greatness and appreciative to life is truly the secret of manifesting everything and changing your outlook and everything. Because at the end of the day, you're here and you're breathing and you're able-bodied. Hopefully, and how much better does it get than that? Right. So that was like all over the place, but basically enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, and you'll keep going further on it. I don't know.
And don't be afraid to get messy.
Yes, don't be afraid.
I love it, Khrystle. So much fun. This is a blast, and I know our audience wants to stay connected with you and keep growing on their journey with you. So how can they do that? How can they stay connected, and what are their next steps that they can take?
Yes. So Instagram, Khrystle Rea. My name is spelled crazy complicated. KHRYSTLEREA. Sounds like Khrystle Rea. It's Khrystle Rea. Find me on Instagram. I'm on there a lot. I'm doing daily lives again on there in my Instagram story. You can also connect with me on Facebook. I also have a free Facebook group called A Blissfully Balanced Life. I am going to be releasing a new freebie tonight, which is a stress-free scheduler. So that'll be coming out, and you can find that on my website as well, KhrystleRea.com. So Khrystle Rea, everything. I also have a podcast, A Blissfully Balanced Life. I'm all over the place. So if you go one place, you'll find things for everywhere else.
I love it. Khrystle, you are shining your light brilliantly. You're totally using your gifts and your abilities to the maximum, and everything that's happened to you, like I just see you being this masterful creator and integrating it all. And, it's things that are like way out in left field that have happened to you that like other people would just play the victim for the rest of their life. You totally handled it as well as you could, as best you could, and every day continuously reintegrating it. How can I use this? How can I be empowered with this? How can I empower others, other people, other women with this? So I really acknowledge you for stepping up and playing at that level. So it's not just about you, and you're making it about others and really making a difference in the world. So thank you for doing that. You're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm glad I can do it.
Yes, and you're glad you're continuing to do it, because Khrystle, this is just the beginning for you. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were 28. I'm 27, so it's like that like excitement for what's possible in the future is like, ooh.
Yes, all good things.
That's right. Awesome. Well, Khrystle, have the best day ever. Everyone who's listening or watching, definitely stay connected with Khrystle, and it's Khrystle Rea, and that's Rea, not Rey, Rea, and there's the funny H in the Khrystle too, so it's at KHRYSTLEREA. So stay connected with her because she's a powerhouse. And Khrystle, thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.